Georgia.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Nice to meet you again.
And you.
This is the last session for the day.
Oh,
and
that's a shame.
I really hope you guys have enjoyed your session in class. Just hold on to your breath again, and we're finishing up this session, and then you can go home and relax. So we don't need to know any of our exit point. If you want, I can quickly tell. Soon as the door, from the door, turn left for the toilet, and if you feel free to want to drink a water, go for it. Please put your phone on silent so then we don't have the disturbance. So as you know, for our first two sessions, we have talked about, the first session was organization's policy and procedure. We have talked about that, and in the last session, we have talked about equipment checklist, and our reference as a first aid kit. We go through with the kit, and I will just have a little bit few questions to wind up, review the session. In last session, we have talked about the equipment check at workplace, focusing on the learning about first aid kit, why that is important for every workplace. If you guys have a little bit of tell me why that is important. Anybody?
The first aid kit's
Yeah.
important, so you've got some emergency things there available until if help can come, so you can immediately address an emergency
Yeah.
if need be.
So whether there's a minor incident or major, it's important to have a first aid kit in the place, and then make sure it's being reviewed once in a while with the dedicated staff member. So whatever stuff is in the first aid kit is all ready to use in the case of emergency. And in last session, we have talked about a little bit of keeping the recording data in that sheets, and today we're gonna more talk about how we are actually writing the incident report. So today's session is based on the incident report. So again, I have talked about South Metro types policy procedure, and moving forward, I have get the incident report form from them, and based on quality ed, and we'll be discussing about the serious incident report form, and I have a little video for you guys to watch, and then later on we'll have a little activity to for the scenario, and we will fill up incident report form together, and that will be the session review. Anybody has anything to say? Is all clear what we are going to do? Yeah?
Thank
Okay,
you.
no worries. Okay, so before we start, I'm gonna just put a little video, and we see why it is important for incident report to be in a place. And I hope no video will help. This video is good.
I don't think I'm your girl.
There's a lot of stuff that goes on at a construction site. And no matter how careful you are, accidents can happen. By accident, we mean any event that results in an injury. This includes any form of discomfort, such as heat stroke. When an injury is minor and the worker is able to return to work quickly, it's a no-time loss accident. When the injury is more serious and the worker needs to see a doctor, it's a lost time accident. However, if no one gets hurt, but the event could have resulted in injury, instead of it being called an accident, it's an incident. Incidents, like accidents, must be recorded in a register of accidents, incidents, and first aid. You're required by law to keep this register. But it's also extremely useful. For instance, if a minor injury gets worse and the worker has to consult a doctor, you can go back to the register to follow up on the accidental event. What's more, the information in the register can help you keep your first aid kit up to date and see at a glance if anything is missing. But most importantly, the information in the register can help you remedy the situation and prevent future accidents. Even before an accident occurs, you need to be prepared. This means developing a procedure to follow if an accident occurs. All of your workers must be aware of this procedure. They must know what has to be done, under what circumstances, and by whom. At the very least, they must understand that it is mandatory to notify their supervisor after an event occurs, and they need to do it as soon as possible. When a lost time accident occurs, an accident report must be filed. It goes without saying, the first step is to administer first aid. Then you must make any necessary emergency repairs and remove or control all potential sources of danger. Get in touch with your advisor to relay information about the accident as soon as possible. Ideally on the same day, following an accident. Hand a copy of the worker's toolkit to the injured worker and make sure they fill out the accident report. If they're unable to fill it out right away, make sure it's done as soon as possible. When the worker goes to see the doctor, ensure they bring a copy of the temporary assignment form with them to every appointment. As soon as possible after visiting the doctor, it's important that the worker provide you with a copy of the medical assessment and temporary assignment forms signed by the attending physician. The temporary assignment form specifies if, when, and how the worker can safely return to work. The attending physician might recommend a return to work in a light-duty capacity with certain restrictions or limitations. Or, the physician might decide to put the worker on leave in addition to prescribing treatment. In any case, it's important to respect and follow all of the physician's recommendations. It's good practice to put together a list of your workers' tasks that they can give to the doctor if they get injured. This can help the doctor make a more positive assessment of the worker's return to work. Once the worker and the job site are safe, you must carry out an investigation and analysis of the accident and fill out the necessary form. This will help everyone understand what happened and how to prevent a similar accident from happening again. Filling out an accident report isn't rocket science. There are only 5 things to keep in mind. 1. When a lost time accident occurs, give us a call right away so we can help you manage everything. 2. Always have worker toolkits on hand. 3. Hand a toolkit to the injured worker and make sure they always bring a copy of the temporary assignment form with them to every appointment. 4. Keep a record of all accidents and incidents. And 5. Always send a copy of all documents to your advisor.
Okay, so that's the end of the video.
It's a good video.
It is a good
Yeah, it's
video.
a good one.
And this-
Do you know what bothered me? Was that bloody
Yeah, the
music.
music.
I know, I know. Sometimes
Something
those
like
music
quite
can-
upbeat, and I thought the service was coming.
I like it when
But
you-
you-
it's
So,
putting it
yeah,
out, it's
the
not
little-
rocket science.
So that little video pretty
That was
much cover
catchy.
all the
Yeah,
the
what's it doing?
topic
Yeah.
with the previous sessions
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Why the policy procedures are in place, or what to do if the incident happened, and why we need the first aid kit. It seems like it's a small thing, but because we have the initially mention about the minor incidents such as that little wound which swollen up later on to cause what happened. So this will give us a really good briefing about the incident report. Looking at the quality ed incident report, they have a really big, I'm just going to give you a copy of that report which later on we will fill it out, but just to give that report, it's a really, I think this report is designed for minor and
Yeah,
so the report is designed for small injury to the bigger major injury. Today we just gonna look quickly about, it's not much to fill, but of course all the mandatory detail, which their names and family name, who they are, whether there was, because injury can occur to staff, to student,
Yeah.
to contractor, subcontractor, visitor. So whoever has been injured, we have to tick any of them. And if we, majority of things, if we can get date of birth and stuff is really hard to get sometime. So we can fill as much as information we can needed. Very small, quick couple of pages with. I'm gonna do it. Last 2 pages, we're gonna miss that out, so we're not gonna fill that 2 pages. The one is called draw a sketch. Your location should be marked. That's on the page number 7.
Yeah.
So we're gonna skip these 2, and then the last one, page number 8, which is more for CEO to feel complete and all that. But just a couple of first pages, how those incidents occur, how to fill that report and all that. So then by the end of session, we know how to fill that report in case anything happens at the workplace. Just give you a couple of minutes to have a look on that, and then we'll go for that.
We do ours online now. Do you guys do it
We do
online?
ours online.
Yeah. They have an online version as well. If you
Yeah.
go to the staff portal at the Quality Ed on
Yeah.
your
Was-
Blackboard.
But still, I find that, like for us, we are so busy. A lot of the time, you actually have to make time to complete that form, which I feel like it defeats the purpose. Because sometimes, if you need to go get help, then you cannot fill that form at that time.
Yeah.
What do you think? Why we have to fill that form? That's the right awareness report. It is why we fill this form.
I mean, just to get more help and talk about what happened to you, like a way of debriefing, and maybe so that things can be put in place so that it doesn't occur again. But at the same time, like I find that just sitting down to describe, like I've had to do choir form, and I know that sometimes I've had to do it the next day because I physically just don't have time.
As an employee point of view, we always feel really annoying filling up those forms sometimes, but I think it protect employer companies as well as the employees same time. If any, as in this video it says, if any injury become major, they had to take that incident report with them as a part of their proofing that incident occurred at the workplace, so they can get their workers' health comps ready. And for the employer point of view, again, if something happens, so then they're not paying from their pocket. At least they can claim to the insurance department too. So I think that's why it's very important to keep all that data handy for everybody's peace of mind.
I think for our workplace, it depends on the job role. So some of our kind of care staff, direct care staff, or community support workers don't actually fill it online. They call their direct superior.
That's a good way to feel that.
Yeah, because sometimes people can get confused whether something is an incident, particularly in aged care. We have something called SIRS, which is like a reportable incident. So some people get confused. Is it, does it fall into that category? And the consultation's needed with
I
the
think,
direct superior before submitting a form.
I think because you three are on the health sector, it's very, very more detailing and deep in your sector, isn't it? To write everything. And same with the workplaces, like construction side and mining side, they are really play a big role. With the hairdressing, it does play a role. Small injury with the workplace staff, such as scissor cut or other small cuts, they often forget to fill that out, which they should, isn't it? But then anything happened to the client, we always fill that incident report in case they have a chemical reaction and they later on want to sue the owners and stuff.
Absolutely.
So then it's important important to write down the incident, what happened, and you get the witness to sign and make sure you have the copy. So
Due diligence, for sure.
Absolutely.
So of course, before we move on to filling up that report, we're just gonna talk about a little bit of how all those things work. It's just for the WorkSafe, we took the picture of the WorkSafe website. It's for the incident step by step, how what the minings, how they fill up the mining reports, and then the gas and petroleum level. Of course, their incident reports are really
A bit different.
more in deep, but in general area, we normally say a couple of points we cover up: what happened, when to notify, how to notify, and preserve the sites. That's a little just chart for you guys to have a look around and share it, so then you know. And as you know, incident can happen in any time. It could be slip, trip, fall, anything. While they're doing a small thing such as fixing up the light, any injury can occur. So there are a couple of points to show any way the injury can come into place. Just have a look around.
Snow and ice. Footwear. Stilettos. Here we go.
Yeah.
Snow and ice can legitimately be
Oh.
terrifying. The number of times I've slipped just being
Okay.
overseas.
Yeah. See, those things can happen with when we're traveling and stuff like that. That's really hard to cover all those
Yeah,
things.
and
But
you don't walk properly because
Yeah,
you
you're
think
not
that you're
used
going
to.
to.
Yeah, you're not used
So,
to it
yeah.
as well. Yeah.
so covering about like, of course, what, why, and when. We know what the incident report look like. Why we need to complete that report, because it's just basically evidence for everybody to have a peace of mind. And when we have to do that, when there's an
As soon as
incident.
possible.
Incident occur
Yeah.
straight away. And who write the incident report, if you guys know?
The person I think who's most involved with the case, or
The
whoever's
person.
accepting liability.
The person who first
Yeah.
look at the incident
Mm.
and they act first, so
Mm.
they have to be sort of reliable to filling up the incident report, because
Mm.
they the first one reach out for the help and
Yeah.
then so that's their liability to
Yeah.
fill that. Sometimes people can be stressed out filling up the incident report if they are having event. So anyway, so moving forward to fill up that incident report form, I'm going to give you a little scenario for you to read out, read and fill that report in, and then that's a little scenario.
One each or so?
One each. We can, and then I can have a look for a couple of minutes. It's the scenario about
Borrow your pen, please. Thank you.
and then we will go together filling up the report. There are a couple of points to highlight in that scenario, isn't it? And on the second page, they have all the detail to fill it out for the report.
So, are we filling this out.
Yeah, we're gonna fill that out in a minute. Have a
Oh,
look
together.
already
So I
together.
don't
We
need
will
to
fill
do
it
it
out.
together.
So if we do it together, then we can. If you have any question, we can go forward. It's a quite big form, so we better we can talk a bit more if we have question comes as we filling the form. Okay, so everybody's pretty clear with the scenario. What happened to her?
To rent shop.
Boxes.
Yeah.
She got struck by boxes
Yeah.
that fell
By
off the
children.
moving forklift.
Yeah, so the guy, the Thomas, who was trying to ride the forklift and pallet of the boxes, warehouse storage, and they miss out the safety spotted with the poor visibility and did not see the backflow sign. That's where the incident occurred. And where the Rachel Tan, who was walking nearby, suffered from head injury and briefly lost her balance and reported the dizziness.
Yeah.
So when you're reading that scenario, what sort of incident you think? Is it a low incident, low
No, it's
level
high,
incident?
high,
It's
high.
a medium or high?
It's been struck on the head.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
So anything when it hit more hard on the head or if it comes like heavy, high level of injury. Okay, so when we look at our incident report form, the first thing they are talking about the personal detail of the client, visitor or staff member who has been affected, where we will be putting the person's name in.
Yeah,
The person
Rachel-
was?
Rachel
Yeah.
Chan.
Rachel Jan. Yep.
I
That's
put her
the
as an
family name.
employee. Said she was walking by, but then
Yeah, she
recalled
was.
it. Yeah, so I'm thinking she's an
An
employee.
employee,
She's
yeah.
employee, yeah,
Yeah.
because if they're not saying, especially it's a warehouse, so we're assuming normally warehouse people are working and
I didn't think she'd just be walking by.
yeah,
Yeah.
no. So
If
just
so,
because
that's another incident report. That one.
Yeah.
for the
And I
incident-
guess they are two co-workers.
Yeah.
I'd also argue that maybe she needs someone else to help fill this form out because if she's
Yeah.
got a mild concussion,
And dizziness.
Yeah.
dizziness,
She
she'll
will
be
not
in
be able to
hospital.
So
walk.
maybe
Yeah.
that form is
Yeah.
filled by the person who responds first, where
Yeah,
they
or
says
the
the two
co-workers.
co-workers,
Ava
Ava,
and Leo.
Leo witnessed the incident and
Yeah.
assist the Sarah Rachel.
Mm.
So it's
They
not filled up
witnessed.
by her, it's filled up by the witness people.
Or even Nadia Hussein,
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the
true.
supervisor. I'd be handballing that one myself. If I was Ava or Leo, I'd be handballing that to Nadia.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's it.
And
No, yeah,
Leo's
yeah,
already
off
doing
you
the
go.
first aid, so yeah, I don't think we should get him to fill out the report as well.
He might be quite flustered. And
Yeah.
But then because they witnessed, so as per the rules, they had to be explaining what's happened, even though
Yeah.
Nadia is the responsible person to act. Anyways, it mentioned about the date of birth, I think on the next page, in
Yeah.
the scenario, which we can use as 14th of
May
May 1995,
1995.
and the department was, it's a warehouse. I
Yeah.
think we can put that.
Yep.
And then the emergency contact name, it says about Michelle Tan, that's the mother of the
Because
person.
you get all that from the supervisor, wouldn't you, all that info?
And then address, it has mentioned about the address, 22 Willow Street, Glenwood
Mm-hmm.
in Victoria. And then the contact number, we will mention as the mobile number is always easy to reach out, so we will put the mobile number 0412 345 678. And then we talk about the incident details again,
March the 12th.
date, time, day of week, and location. We're gonna be just going through quickly as much as quickly you can write down and. Okay, so in this section is talk about describe the incident, illness, and trauma of the injury sustained. That's where we will be putting in. And that whole set of paragraph where the Thomas was trying to ride the forklift and he did not see the signage, and it fallen over there. That whole incident will go there, and again state what happened. In that way, we'll be more describing exactly how it hit, fallen over near the corner side on page number 2. Tracy, yeah, good.
Yes.
Yep.
I was just rereading that actually,
Yeah.
sorry.
And then we're moving forward quickly on the medical. You can write 1 or 2 lines. That's not a big, because it's just about learning the incident.
Yeah.
So it's not about feeling accurately.
Leo gave first aid.
Yeah, who
We're
gave the
not
first
quite
aid?
sure. We're not sure what he did.
No.
But I imagine that he had the first aid kit with him.
He did. Yeah.
The
Yeah.
checked first,
Portable,
yeah,
up to
checked,
date,
updated first aid kit.
fully stocked.
Yes,
Make
and-
sure it's not expired.
That's right. Everything was within date.
yeah, and then yes,
It was.
absolutely.
Okay, so then the further medical was
Then the ambulance is
given,
called.
ambulance come,
Yeah,
and then the treatment, ambulance.
Attended the hospital.
And then in the certification,
assessment.
we can talk, has the emergency contact, yes, and has the affected person being kept observation, yes, was the first aid provided, yes, by that co-worker.
yeah.
And then the person completing the form, that could be the supervisor along with the person who witnessed it. They can sign.
So Nadia,
Nadia's gonna do it.
Nadia Hussain.
Nadia.
Nadia Hussain.
And then in that section, we will be talking about the witness of the incident.
Ava and Leo.
Yeah.
Yes, true, and maybe Thomas as well. He was driving the forklift, but maybe he saw something afterwards.
So
Maybe
see
he
that,
wasn't.
that because that form is quite in detail, so it keep asking the similar question. Again, when did the incident occur? Of course, that's in the Wednesday, I think.
It was
So
Wednesday.
this is the witness,
Yeah.
but the witness is filling this out, aren't
Yeah,
they?
so that one we
so
see
then
for
you're
the-
getting another perspective, aren't you?
Yeah, that's
So,
why I said this form is quite in deep with a different perspective. I think in this form is the co-worker form, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's where they're filling the form. But again, they will have to describe the incident occur, where did it happen, and activity, how did the
Oh,
incident,
this one.
blah, blah, the couple of questionnaire. In what were the injuries suspected? So basically, she hit
Just
her
yeah, just
head.
yeah.
Concussion.
Mild concussion.
Concussion, yeah. And the treatment of the injury, of course, they provide the first aid
And also took her to hospital.
and then immediately inform
Hospital visit.
the hospital visit.
Oh, then
What
there's another
time?
sketch as well.
Yeah, a couple of things we're gonna miss out the last 2 seconds. Oh, yeah.
Oh, there's another one. though, yeah.
Wherever there's a sketch part, we're gonna just leave that
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
And name of the staff member responsible for supervising the area. Who
Oh,
will be
so
that?
that's Nadia.
That's the
Oh,
Nadia.
Nadia again.
That's where the Nadia is coming.
Yeah.
If you're witness,
It's a bad day for Nadia.
Yeah. Yes,
Paid the
she
big bucks.
really
course, if
wish
you-
she had
if-
had the day off.
of course, if you are good at like while you are making incident report, if you can draw this drawing, you can. If not, you can verbally explain them, and they can fill that out according to their best. And once the Rachel felt a bit better, the first statement by the injured or affected person, it also need to be complete. Of course, as we looked at in the video, if the person is not that well, they had to sort it out their treatment first, and once they are stable in condition, then they can write down their own statement, what happened and how that happened. So this form, the page number 6, will be done by Rachel once she's settled down. And then coming to page number
She
7.
might not know what happened if she's hit the head.
Oh,
Just walking and then that's it.
That's it. So whatever
Yeah.
she could remember, that's all she
Can you
could
draw something? Well, no.
all she probably can draw is just right.
She was
My
unable to
breath.
keep
So
working.
yeah, so that's the
That's
end
not
of the
the memory.
report. How did you guys go? Good?
Yeah.
You get an
Fabulous.
idea of kind of
Yeah,
the
it is pretty well set out. I
Yeah.
prefer to do this than the ones we do
Yeah.
online.
I
It's a
know.
lot quicker.
I know.
I'd much rather have a pen and
So
paper.
that's
Basically,
pretty much end of the session. And we're just gonna lay out again objective of this session before we wind up everything. In this end of the session, the student, I hope that you guys are able to grab the importance to have incident report at the workplace. Who is responsible to fill the report? The person who first witnessed. How to fill the report, we have gone through and demonstrated to fill that form, and who to respond once the report is done. Of course, that's the supervisor. And how to keep the data sources once it's done. Whether it's a paper-based form or digital, everybody in their policies, they do it. And before we go, that's the done of the session, and I would like to give a feedback form for you guys to let me know how we went. If there's any improvement, you can fill that out and email back to me by within a day or two.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for attending the whole session. There is no further session are coming yet, so have a good night. Enjoy your break. Have a good sleep. Good night.
Good.